Hey folks, welcome back to my channel. My name is Brian and I have a 2019 Infiniti Q50 Signature Edition, and I just like making videos to help people from experiences that I learned from. I'm going to make this video, try to make it just simple, straightforward. Already made a video and it just sucked. It was too long and too complicated, so I'm going to try to change it up. So basically today's episode is going to talk about the heat exchanger. I've already installed a Berger Motorsports heat exchanger in here, and so I did the install and I did the filling of the fluid to make sure it was properly done, bleeding the coolant system. So just real quick, when the front bumper's off and your coolant tank, the heat exchanger piece is in there. You want to try to install that and lose as little fluid as you can so that you're not creating a lot of air pockets within the intercoolers up here. The intercoolers and the system and the pump is down here, if I'm not mistaken, over here in this corner. So you don't want to lose a whole lot to the coolant that's up here in the higher spaces and moving down the low, because then you're just going to have to fill a lot more of that. And if you don't have this tool that I'm going to show you that I purchased, then you will likely introduce a lot of air into the system and you won't be able to fill it. And you can damage the pump that is going to be circulating the fluid around that coolant system. So you don't want to damage that pump. I don't know how much those are, but it likely is costly because you got to get it from the dealership. So moving forward, I'm just going to show you the process. You're going to want to have a lot of rags around. So let me make sure I've got my rags, because you will spill some. A towel, a lot more rags in this, but I'm just going to have this one rag here. So you've got the heat exchanger installed. And then you're ready. Basically everything's buttoned up and you're just wanting to fill the coolant system. So you're going to remove the cap. And something that I learned that I didn't have in my previous video that I will link to, the install, and then at the end of it I have the bleeding that I attempted on my very first time, and I did not have as much knowledge as I do now. But there is a portion right here where there's a small hole that I never noticed, and it leads over here to a type of a breather hose. I don't know really what the point of having that there is, but obviously it serves a point in this system. So when you hook up your tool, you will have a small leak here. And so when I was installing or putting the fluid into mine, and I followed the very generic instructions online, the instructions online are pretty pitiful and it does not go into much detail. So that's why I am making this video, for the people that have questions about bleeding your heat exchanger. So with that, I just have a lot of random things that I say from time to time, and I have a little rubber cap. You can go to the auto parts store and they have vacuum caps of different sizes, and you're basically just wanting to plug up this little hole. So you slip this on and the hole is covered, and your vacuum will be able to pull 100% vacuum and it'll stay there. So I got pretty frustrated, and that threw me for a loop, thinking I had air leaks somewhere in the system, and it just had me doubting that I did the job correctly. But I ended up I did the job correctly, and so my system is completely full. But with that said, take the top off. Here is the air vac tool. Let me show you first. You want to go, I bought this on Amazon. This is the blue extended life 50/50 pre-diluted Nissan fluid, and this fills both your radiator with the same fluid and your heat exchanger fluid. And I think it is a 100% the best idea to go with this Nissan fluid, because the warranty covers your car warranty, and the engine and everything warranty is based off this Nissan fluid, even though it's an Infiniti, as we know. So get this fluid. It has special additives in it that help lubricate the pump system, And then also it's got, for this car, it's got some additives that help prevent corrosion for this particular car. So, I mean, it is very specific to Nissan and Infiniti's. And so keep your warranty, just be hassle-free. Go with this. It's about $25 per bottle. I bought 2, but you can get away with 1 if you conserve the fluid when you take the OEM heat exchanger out, and you make sure that you try to conserve the fluid. I had a oil pan bucket, a low tray round that, you know, for collecting oil, and obviously it was clean, no oil in there, and I caught most of my fluid, and I just made sure it was very clean, and so I recycled that and put that into the system. As long as it's clean, it shouldn't be a problem, and it's not full of particles or dirt or dust. So there's your coolant. And then I bought an air vac tool on Amazon, and I'll link to that. It comes in a case just like this. The kit is all right here. I bought the kit that comes with the 5. There's a kit that comes with 3 and a kit that comes with 5. And I don't know which specific these grommets that come with it to help get a tight fit, a custom fit for you know, a whole bunch of different vehicles, obviously, because there's different diameters of the lids or the coolant portion of the overflow you know, container. So this is the one that you're going to use out of that, because if I bought the smaller, the less one, and just saved a few bucks, then obviously my kit would be wrong and I would be stuck and I'd have to reorder, and I wanted to make sure I had everything all at once. So this is the one you're going to use. They have some thicker ones, and that's the differences, and some different you know, thicknesses, but we're going to use this one right here. So this is the air vacuum system. All right, so I'll get too complicated. I'm just going to hook it up, and you can follow my instructions. I'm not going to bleed my system right now. That would be the most helpful, but it's not going to be beneficial for me. It would be beneficial for you to see the process, but I'm just going to do a fake filling. So just leave that right there. You want to probably have a towel so everything dangling doesn't, you know, you don't scratch your paint up. I'm very particular, so you want to put this on. You want to come here and put the thinnest one on here. You're going to slide that on to the rubber bottom. Make sure it's fully on. And then you're going to insert this into your lid right there, and you're going to screw this down. So when you screw this down, it widens up the base. It pushes down and it makes it get fat, and then it makes it for a tight seal. But again, don't forget this air hole over here that you got to plug up. So screw that down pretty tight. In the instructions that I read, and no one else, on the few videos that are online that you have to search where you can even get an idea of how to use this tool, which it's pretty limited, and so that's why I'm going into more detail today. It says you want to have this bottle. This is your bottle that you're sucking fluid out to fill the system, and so you want to have that on a cart that says in the instructions that I read, the most beneficial is to have this level with your fill kit instead of having it sitting on the ground. So take that for what it's worth. But this is going to go, this is the part of the hose with a little filter end on it that's going to go into the bottle. You open up the bottle, you want to have a full bottle. If you don't have it full and the system sucks all of it out, then it just means you're going to have to pressurize and do this all again. So a full bottle, open the cap, stick that in there, let it just hang like that. You can have this bottle on the other side, but for purposes for the video, it's going to be on this side, and then just leave that sitting there just like that, bam. And so I'm not going to open it up and have it sit in there, but that's where that goes. And then you're going to attach the other piece that comes in the kit. Make sure, I think mine came in the, from, you know, when I opened it up, just from receiving it, that this was not screwed into this piece. And so I got, you know, I lost my attention span and I screwed it on, but I didn't put it on tight. And then I came out here, you know, hours later and tried to bleed the car, and it was introducing air because I didn't have it tight. So you got to mount this in with Teflon tape and then lock it down with a wrench, half a turn, screw it in. We can't turn it in anymore, but you get a wrench and then a half a turn and then lock that in nice and tight so you don't have any air leaks there too. This is going to fit right here. Just pull that back. It's kind of like just your compressor hose. So then flip that around. And just FYI, you're going to want to have any kind of little container. A Gatorade bottle is perfect. This is going to be, as the compressor hose plugs into here and it blows air through this little piece right here with a little turbine wheel in it, that's what's going to pull the vacuum and suck the air out. And so that air is coming in, has to go somewhere, so it's going to come out here. And then it does pick up coolant fluid, and it foams it up in here and it blows it all around. So you're going to want to have a way, because you don't want that going on your car or down in your motor. It's not good for animals or children or you to ingest this stuff. From what I remember, it's antifreeze is pretty toxic. So you want to contain that. And then, let me see, so contain that. So we've got this going. Then you're going to have a compressor. You can get some pretty cool little compressors for $99, $129. And I have a small little compressor, and I use it all the time to fill my tires. It's very beneficial to have. And then so you're going to run that to the other end to your compressor. This is going to run to your air vac tool. You're going to plug it in. And so remember, this goes to your coolant bottle that's over here. This is going to go to your little overflow bottle. And so then basically you're going to turn your compressor on. Right now I have all the valves off. So the valves are off when they're turned to the side. So everything's turned to the side. All three valves are closed. And I need to make sure I tell you this correctly. So your compressor's running. It's good to, from what I found, probably to have your compressor set to about 60, 70 PSI. Obviously your compressor is going to be running, up to, 140, 150. From my experience of doing this, I didn't have it turned all the way up. I had it about 60, 70, and it worked properly for me. So with that said, you're going to turn your compressor on, and then you're going to open this valve right here. If you can see, open this valve, and then you're going to, while the compressor's running, you're going to open this valve. So when they're in line with the hoses is when they're open, when they're closed, when they're off to the side. So now it's going to start going and making this loud sound, filling this up with a little bit of foam. It's going to be blowing in there, and then the air is going to be blowing out. So just be aware. And then you'll want to have rags around so if you spill anything. So now, let me get my bearings straight. So it's pulling an air vacuum. So you'll watch this climb up to about negative 20 PSI. When it gets to negative 20 PSI, then that's where you're good. You don't really need to pull any more vacuum. So you're going to shut that off, and then you're going to shut this off, and you're going to go shut your compressor off. So now the system is pressurized at negative 20, 25 PSI, or I'm not 100% solid on that terminology, but it's pressure bars or whatever. So it's negative 25 on the gauge. And so with everything shut off, you can walk away for 5 minutes and come back, and it should be holding that same pressure. And that's to tell you, make sure that you have properly installed everything, and you've tightened up all your clamps, and everything is good and the system's not leaking. So then you've come back in 5 minutes, and here's the next step. So now the system is ready to be purged or bled. So what it is, put the whole system under negative pressure. And so what you're going to come in and do, you're going to make sure this hose is inserted into your bottle over here. Let me make sure my camera is pointed in the right direction. And then you're going to just come and you're going to open this valve. When it's under pressure, you're going to come. Oh, these are off. You're going to open this up, and then it's going to flow that fluid through this hose from your container and suck it all in until it gets to its zero pressure. And so that is going to suck the air out and force feed back in the coolant fluid. So from my experience, that depending on how much fluid you lost, if you lost a lot of fluid, you may have to do this twice. If you conserved like I did, one should be enough. And you'll gauge that by how much filled up your reservoir tank is right here. So, and then once it's over, once you've stopped all this, you can turn everything off. I mean, it's at zero. So if you need to do it again, you're going to just go back to the same process, hook your compressor up, start the vacuum process by opening these two valves. This one's off, and then it's going to pull the vacuum again. And once it's pulled the vacuum, you're going to shut these off, turn your compressor off, and then you're going to come back with this connected to your bottle, and then you're going to open it again. It's going to suck a little bit more in there until it's full. And then once you're done, you're going to basically remove everything. You're going to want to clean everything with water. The coolant in the Nissan Blue coolant is a fluid that has, I don't know, it leaves a little sticky residue. It gets sticky. I guess it's a lubricant, so you want to wipe it up if it's on your car. You don't want to leave all your hoses and the chambers inside this device full of that because it'll get sticky. So wash all this stuff with water and let it air dry before you put it away. And then, yeah, so that's it. So you're going to take everything off. You're going to get rid of your fluid, dispose of it properly, and not just dump it in your gutter or on your grass. And then you're going to disconnect your compressor hose. And then you can, I'm not getting ahead of myself, you can remove this piece. You make sure you just want to wash this out. You flow water into here, and it'll come out right here, and then you can just let it air dry, or you can go out and run around and spin this and help get some of the water. As you can see, I did this a couple days, and there's still moisture in there, so you don't want to stick this away in the dark case and then have mildew grow in there. So be aware, you want to clean your tools and keep them clean, and they'll keep functioning. And then you'll want to remove this piece here just by unscrewing it. And then you'll want to pull this out of your bottle. You'll want to close up your Nissan bottle and save that so you can reuse it to fill both of your tanks with, if you need to fill those. And then come put your cap on and make sure it's on tight all the way. And then you'll want to wash this out too. You'll want to put that in a bucket, or put some water down in through here through a sink and fill this hose and slosh it around, and it'll come out right here. And then you can run around in the yard and spin this around and help get some of that water out. And then definitely let this air dry completely, and so it's clean, it's not sticky, and there's not that residue, that blue residue left in there. And stick that away for another time. And then you want to pull this real quick. Pull this off because it gets this with that the coolant is very sticky, and you want to make sure you pull this rubber grommet off so it's easier to get off. And it sticks on there pretty good, even without the coolant. So you want to pull that off and then put that in your case and store it away safely. Make sure I've covered everything. The benefit to the air vac tool, everywhere that I've seen, professional instructions, I try to do everything correctly and professionally. And so a lot of places I've seen, if you don't fill up your system completely and you have air pockets in there, the pump which is down here in the corner on the left side, passenger side, if you get an air pocket in there, that pump, when the air pocket hits that area, that pump cannot move air. So that air pocket will stay there, and it'll stop flowing fluid to your intercooler here and throughout the system, and then you're going to be overheating the car, and you can damage your pump because you're not flowing the fluid over the pump. And then that is not lubricating it, and like I said, that could damage that. Plus, it'll send your car in a limp mode because it'll be your intake temps will be too high, and it'll be pulling timing, and there'll be all kinds of problems. So you want to definitely make sure this is totally bled correctly, and there's no air pockets within the system. So that is why, all the professionals, Mishimoto and AMS and Berger Motorsports and all the heat exchanger, air to water intercooler people recommend having an air vac tool. And I'll put the air vac tool that I had on Amazon. I'll link it here, and I will put the coolant and link it. And so if you've liked my video today and it was helpful, give me a thumbs up, share my videos, and I don't make money from this. This isn't my intention to make money so I can buy more toys and enjoy things because you send me money. I'm not a high pressure salesman. Just like my video so more people can see this content and I can just grow the channel. So with that said, hopefully this was helpful and I made enough sense, and thank you for tuning in and have a good night.